So welcome everyone. I think we should start. Just let us take a moment of silence, bringing the mind to the breath, bringing mind home in the body. So let us start. We'll read the opening aspiration and then we'll start with the next thing. Would anyone want to read the opening aspiration?
Yeah, I'll read.
Yeah.
Did anybody else unmute? Okay. With boundless compassion and wisdom, I will work for the welfare of all. May we be free from hunger and discord and have joy and a world at peace.
Yeah, thank you. So today I thought that we can maybe not directly related to the verse, but related also. Maybe we can listen to a few minutes of talk, excerpt of a talk by Jetsunma, where she talks about basic practice of taming the mind, of detaching from the surface consciousness, doing shamatha, and then she also talks about that we are not usually aware of this true consciousness, the true nature that we have, because we think that we are too much lost in the thoughts and feelings and all the happenings on the surface. And this, as we all know, this also resonates very well with integral yoga, where Sri Aurobindo talks about detaching from the desire soul if we want to find our true soul. And all the time, if we remain immersed in the surface ups and downs and turmoils and everything, and give too much importance to them, then we are always as if disconnected from our true being. So I thought this would be relevant for all of us and we can benefit out of it. So it's not directly related to the verse, but you know what I mean. So it's on the mind. Yeah.
Right, you start by learning how to cultivate the ability to be attentive and to be conscious of what's going on. So normally in all Buddhist schools, you start with the being aware of the breath. It's not a pranayama. It's just you breathe in, you breathe out, you know you're breathing in, breathing out. I mean, normally we all breathe all the time, but we're not aware of that, right? But if we do give our attention to the breath, then first of all, since we cannot breathe in the past or in the future, we only breathe now, it brings the attention into the present moment. But at the same time, as we ignore all the background noise, rather like a television which is on, but we're reading a book and we ignore it, the mind begins to quieten down. And at the same time, our ability to observe, to be aware, to be mindful gets stronger. When our ability to really focus in a very relaxed way, but clear way on the breath and not get swept away by all our thinking, when that is stabilized, then we turn the attention onto the thinking itself. And the first thing we do is, like, we have a thought stream, right? We're endlessly thinking. We're swimming in an ocean of thinking. And normally we're swept along by that thinking. We are our thoughts, and we believe our thoughts. So now it's like a river running. Normally we are swept along by the river. Now we're sitting on the banks. We're just observing the thoughts. We're not judging them. We're not trying to stop them. Good thoughts, bad thoughts, just thoughts. And so first we begin to learn how to observe the mind. Right? Then when we learn how to observe the mind, then we start questioning the mind. What is a thought? Where does it come from? Where does it go to? What is it? What does it look like? Then what is that is thinking? And so slowly we begin to look at the thoughts, and we see that all the thoughts that we think are so solid and real and true because I'm thinking it, they're just bubbles. I mean, moment to moment to moment to moment to moment, right? You think one thought and it's gone, it's something, another thought come up. They're therefore like a bubble. You blow it and it's all shiny and it looks so real, but you go click and it's empty. And all our thoughts are like that. They're empty. They're not real. They're not true. They're not solid. They're not enduring. They're just moment to moment impulses, mental impulses, just like this. And who is observing that? So the first level is to get this feeling of a witness that is observing the thoughts, right? So there's the subject and the object. But that is still dualistic, right? Who is this subject? But it acts as a bridge to getting back into that level, as we were talking just now, of this primordial awareness, which is beyond that duality of subject and object. It's beyond duality. And we see there is no self there. There is just pure, clear awareness, which connects us with all beings, connects us with all nature. We're all very deeply interconnected at our most profound level. And that's what we're trying to get to. So when we recognize that, it's like suddenly everything becomes so clear, so vivid, so vast, and very, very vivid. It's not something which is like somnolent or spaced out, even though it's compared to space, because you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't grasp it and say, this is mine. But it's all within us, and that's our true nature, which has nothing to do with the peripheral conditioned nature which we identify with. And that's our tragedy, isn't it? I mean, all great spiritual paths recognize our big problem is we identify with all the wrong things. And we don't recognize our true nature. And that's what we've got to wake up to. And once we glimpse it, to work to stabilize it. My Lama said that when you recognize the nature of the mind, then you start to meditate. Before that, we're just, trying to get the conditions together. And when you glimpse it, then you say, ah. I mean, they were just seeing without the seer. And then to stabilize that realization, that's the real path.
Yeah, so if there is any doubt or questions we can take about the clip, or if it's clear, it's all good, then nice, we can go ahead with the verse. Okay, so we are all set. We can do the verse then. Yeah. So today we start on page 64, the heroic heart. And the verse number 10 was, if all the mothers who have loved me since beginningless time are suffering, what is the use of my own happiness? So, with the aim of liberating limitless sentient beings, to set my mind on enlightenment is the practice of a Bodhisattva. So, we were also last time reflecting that before we bring anyone out of a swampy, marshy area, we have to have our own feet on a firm land. We don't try to save anyone while we are inside the turmoil ourselves, because we can't do that. Our ground is not stable, so we can't rush this up, that we try to save all the sentient beings. And that is why the verse says that since people are suffering, like all of us, when we get too much identified with our roles and obligations and duties and thoughts and feelings, then we suffer. I know this through my experience. When we say, when we see it in our own self, then we see that, okay, we all need to get out of it, because this is not right, what's happening. So then, uh, with the aim of liberating limitless sentient beings, to set my mind on enlightenment. So that's why I will practice. This is why I will continue to practice for my own growth and progress, because if I am not on a firm ground, I cannot help the other suffering beings around. So that we had reflected upon. Yeah, so today we can take it from yeah, kindness and compassion. This we had read a little. This is similar to, yeah, we can take it from here. Start of page 65. So who would like to read?
I will read. Should I read from this is similar to being
Yeah,
sick
this page.
ourselves?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. This is similar to being sick ourselves and then recovering and afterward seeing other people who are ill. Because of our own experience, we are sensitive others suffering, and we wish to dedicate ourselves to helping them gain health. Therefore, we aspire to become a doctor. When we gain enough knowledge to graduate from medical school, it is not because we want to cure ourselves. It is so that we can benefit and heal others. Likewise, on the spiritual path, our motivation is to be able to understand things more clearly to benefit others. If we could learn to deal with our negative emotions, if we could have a deep insight into the nature of reality, then we would be in a position to really benefit all these other beings who so desperately need to be helped. I'll just read that last sentence one more time. If we could learn to deal with our negative emotions, if we could have a deep insight into the nature of reality, then we would be in a position to really benefit all these other beings who so desperately need to be helped. Should I stop here now?
Yeah, let's take a pause. Yes, thank
Okay.
you. So I think this is how our own experiences of pain and suffering and disturbing emotions, when we ourselves touch those spaces, they kind of sensitize us that yes, it is, all the people are suffering owing to these disturbing emotions so much. Looking at my own self, that look how badly I suffer when I am, for example, craving, clingy, wanting, expecting, when I get rejected in relationships or workplace, how badly I suffer. So when we are suffering because of our own desire self keh lo, ya ego consciousness, this being limited self, and always thinking about me, my story, what is happening to me, why are my needs not fulfilled, how it makes us suffer. So when I suffer because of that, then I can get in touch with the collective pain, because billions of human beings are suffering like that. So our own pain sensitizes us to the pain of collective, because if everything is hunky dory, I don't empathize with that pain. So when I fall in that space, when we go through such spaces and phases in our life, it sensitizes us that this is how badly we suffer when we are identified with our thoughts and feelings. And that is why we must practice, because that is why I must practice. And that is why practice is important for all, not only for me, but for all. So, if we could learn to deal with our negative emotions, our own, first I have to deal with my own anger, my own jealousy, my own, feeling victimized all the time. If we could learn to deal with our negative emotions, if we could have a deep insight into the nature of reality, then we would be in a position to really benefit all these other beings who so desperately need to be helped. So, if my own stories are very tightly and rigidly I am believing in them, how will I help a friend who is so tied up with stories? So, first I have to get free of my stories. Parallelly, simultaneously, then I can also suggest or help a friend that, I totally empathize. At times, these things look very, very real and solid, and as if they promise you something solid and substantial. But there is nothing there, like Jetsunma was sharing. It's like a bubble. It promises you something, that this you will get contentment or fulfillment once only this happens. But if that happens, then something else you want. There is no end to it. So our personal experiences are very, very important here. Otherwise, we have no empathy for what others are going through. And when we practice, when we begin to benefit out of our practice, then only we can spill it out. Yeah, anything here? Anyone? Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a short thing that it's very, very, very easy to judge, right? Like if somebody is going through something, you would very casually say that, oh my God, I don't know why they're taking it so seriously, or why can't they just manage the pain now that they know that pain is there? Like, as in, why do they make it larger than life? And when you are in the same position by God's grace, because you said why and then you are shown, you realize that you could be even acting worse than what they were acting. And so, one thing again and again, I've been shown that stop this judgment, right? Because anytime I judge, consciously or subconsciously, if a thought comes, now I'm shown that okay, अच्छा ये लो देखो मतलब again and then you just realize that oh my God, right? Like I better stop this, because otherwise it's unbearable, because anytime there is a seemingly innocent comment coming through me or passing through me, I have to pay a price for that, because then I'm shown that no. stop, stop, stop. See, it's worse, or we don't need to go there. So I think this is something, again, it's a lot of grace that if you're shown that right away so that one can learn and maybe transcend, hopefully, and positively, of course, we will transcend. But anytime, I think, like, all I just wanted to say was that those comments which seem innocent, they are not. Like, there is some ill will, there is some lesson to be learned so that we can just, I don't know, be with ourselves and work on ourselves, like the verse said, our own thing, because otherwise it just gets, I don't know, muddy and messy, and yeah.
एक्चुअली हमारी आदत ही ऐसी है ना कि हम इतना ऊंचा उड़ रहे होते हैं कि टाइम टू टाइम और पता भी नहीं होता, एक्चुअली पता ही नहीं होता कि ऊंचे उड़ रहे हैं, नहीं पता लगता। दैट्स व्हाई आई थिंक वही उसको ही ब्लाइंडनेस या इग्नोरेंस कहते होंगे कि मतलब अगर कोई पूछे कि आप ग्राउंड पे, अब हम बोलेंगे हाँ, नो आई एम ग्राउंडेड, but we have no clue that how much high up in the air we usually as limited separate selves are. And when these kind of things happen, and as you said that they happen only because of grace, because when we are on the ground now, then we realize oh my god फिर से उड़ने लग गए थे पता नहीं लगता नहीं। और वो जो मतलब बिकॉज अवर माइंड सी वी रेयरली प्रैक्टिस, वी डोंट, we are not good practitioners actually, you know, for taming the mind. We don't practice that seriously. हल्का सा थोड़ा ठीक लगने लग जाता है तो हम प्रैक्टिस छोड़ देते हैं। तो उसकी वजह से क्या होता है, when mind is lost in the thoughts, and that two thoughts like judgmental thoughts are, they're not giving you pain, right? They're not torturing you, these judgmental thoughts. तो उसमें ना हम we are wallowing in it and we have no clue that we are lost in it, and we are believing them to be true and, you know, tightly holding them opinions, you know, about people and situations. तो वो क्योंकि वो दर्द नहीं दे रहा होता है इसलिए हमको पता भी नहीं होता that we are lost in the thoughts and we are holding them true. And it's only when we fall on the ground again and we are shown exactly the same situation we are in, that we actually, if by God's grace, if we can actually wake up and see what was I thinking or doing, and actually now have empathy for that other person or the situation where we found ourselves judging. और तभी वो I think one of the verses in the 37 practices of Bodhisattva, or maybe 8 verses that we did earlier, maybe yeah 8 verses, उसमें one of the practice was that the supreme, what was it, the supreme practice is non-distraction, you know, something like that. The 8 verses that we did in the beginning of these series, the supreme practice, the best practice, something like that, is non-distraction. So usually we get very easily distracted by thoughts, very easily distracted by feelings. We are not with the breath, we are not taking stance as awareness. तो पता ही नहीं लगता कि कब वो स्लिप हो चुका है। या वाज इट दिस? हाँ हाँ ये 8 वर्सेस, यस। इसमें पता नहीं किसमें था वो नहीं था, व्हाट वी वर रीडिंग, यू नो, इन द बिगिनिंग, द सुप्रीम प्रैक्टिस इज non distraction of mind. Maybe that I was referring to something else, but good to see this. Yeah. So that examining the state of the mind, what you were sharing, उसमें एक verse था, examining the state of mind. We are not usually non-distractedly examining the state of mind. We are lost in the thoughts. We are lost in the thoughts. And since those thoughts are not bringing us pain and suffering, it's very easy to get lost. You know? So that's what I was sharing, that good that we fall on the ground again and again, because then we again begin to practice. So good for us. Yeah, anyone, anything here?
I just want to comment this. Like one of the things that, like for example, we're talking about judgmental thoughts. Judgmental thoughts might not be very and because we won't realize. But what I have learned is that thoughts, pain or something, they take away a lot of my energy. So there are days that I do my usual stuff, because I have done a little bit more. I feel so tired. I feel so tired, and that's the day when, those are the days which will, and I'll reflect on my day, and I'll know that mind was not truly on the body or in the breath, or not really invoking others, present in whatever I was doing. So that's really clear the mindset. Some of the kinds of stuff, time, for example, the things that story. It's a pain and suffering. But there is this exhaustion. You're very exhausted. And that's why people always tell me, I'm so tired. I'm very busy. And recently I was also reading, today only I read somewhere. Mother was talking about when the ashram was formulated. And she said, no, there are many people are this, and we have this department, established and all of that. Now I can say that I am really busy. So that thing really caught my attention, that look how mother thinks busyness is and what we identify as busyness. So I'm very busy, very busy. So actually being busy should not make us tired if we are truly doing it from our true consciousness. So that's what I want to do, and something I've seen with me, that I can go on doing a lot of things if that day I'm present, truly present. And if there is something that I feel I'm busy and making me tired, it is because it is coming from the ego, or mind is churning and thinking about things. So just that.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल कल हम जो लाइंस पढ़ रहे थे एक सावित्री में our selves within us lethal forces nurse, they mine our energy, they drain. So अपना दूध पिला रहे हैं तो drained out तो फील करेंगे खुद को ही तो they are actually feeding on us, what you said, all these thoughts, feelings, disturbing, loopy thoughts, random, and it's mostly chatter, like 95% or even more of that is actually kuda, it's garbage, and we are thinking of it to be so important कि भाई इसके बारे में नहीं सोचेंगे तो बस आग लग जाएगी कहीं पे, जैसे कि सोचना ही सोचना है, कि कैसे सोचना बंद कर दें इसके बारे में. We have no control. We have no control, and that is why mastering, taming the mind must be a practice. Like we are breathing, we have to tame the mind. Like that, we are brushing the teeth every day. We have to do practicing, taming the mind. But somehow it so unfortunate. It is so unfortunate that we lost our original Indian cultural, spiritual roots, and now the kind of education that we are usually subjected to, it lays hardly any emphasis on taming the mind. Hardly. 0.2% अगर कुछ नया in fashion अगर कुछ introduce कर भी रहे होंगे, we lost our culture because of that, like British education system. So this has to become daily part of our life, like it was usually earlier also in the Gurukul system. You're also studying about things, but you are studying who is the one who is studying. Study कौन है? The subjective self के बारे में आप study करते हो, है ना? Who am I? वो study करते हो. और जब उसके बारे में स्टडी करते हो तो बाकी की चीजें आपको एज अ बाई प्रोडक्ट, लाइक अ बुके ऑफ फ्लावर्स, यू गेट एज अ बाई प्रोडक्ट कि लो अच्छा ये ज्ञान भी आपको मुफ्त मिल गया इसके साथ, एक के साथ एक फ्री. तो हम आई थिंक वी विल go there again, that things are turning again, and we will have to do it the other way around like we were doing. So yes, it's very good to see and observe that when we are lost in the loopy, chattery thoughts of mind and believing them to be so true, and as if it's actually, I have felt it's like a नशा हो जाता है ना. कितना अच्छा लगता है कि आपने कोई एक अच्छा पल स्पेंड किया हो किसी फ्रेंड के साथ और आप उसके बारे में रूमिनेट कर रहे हो. कभी सोचा है? सबने सोचा होगा. कितना मजा आता है उसके बारे में सोचने में। इट्स लाइक अ नशा, जैसे नशा होता है ना, आप थोड़ी सी शराब पीते हो फिर आपका मन करता है थोड़ी सी और पी लूं, तो it's actually like that, and that is why we get distracted, and now we are lost in the thoughts, we are believing them to be true। फिर एकदम से झटका लगता है कोई तो फिर वापस होश आता है। तो स्पेशली जो अच्छी वाली थॉट्स है ना, जो प्यारी प्यारी सुंदर सुंदर, न्यूट्रल न्यूट्रल, ज्यादा आपको तकलीफ नहीं दे रही, उसमें तो बहुत ही नशे के साथ हम खो जाते हैं, मतलब इतना मजा आ रहा होता है उसके अंदर लोटने पोटने में। सो दैट इज वेयर, फॉर एग्जाम्पल दैट इज वेयर कबीर जी वुड से दैट सुख में सुमिरन ना किया दुख में करते याद, क्योंकि तू सुख में तो भूल गया, सुख में तो तेरे को बड़े मजे आ रहे थे थॉट्स को ट्रू मानने में, तो अब एकदम से वो लॉस्ट हो गया, यू नो, यू लॉस्ट योर अवेयरनेस, totally got lost in the drama। This happens with us again and again। So this cultivation of awareness, looking at the thoughts, cultivation of witnessing consciousness, this has to be our daily practice, whether we are standing, cooking, you know, doing anything, in the middle of anything, it can just happen anywhere, to keep ourselves unburdened, light all the time, and not to cling to any थिंग्स वॉट एवर, चाहे वो कितनी सुंदर भी हो, आपने किसी ने आपकी बहुत अच्छी अप्रिसिएशन कर दी, उसको बारे में आप सोच रहे हो, मजे कर रहे हो, हाँ कितना अच्छा लग रहा है उसके बारे में सोचने में, तो उसमें भी नहीं लॉस्ट होना देयर ऑल्सो। चाहे सुंदर चीज, क्योंकि अगर हम अपने ऊपर ले लेंगे, उसको भार बना लेंगे, तो फिर जब मुश्किल वाली आएगी तो उसको भी भार बनाएंगे, क्योंकि लॉस्ट केस है। जब सुंदर में अगर हम संभल सकते हैं, क्योंकि सुंदर में संभलना बहुत मुश्किल चीज है, कि ऐसा कैसे हो कि किसी ने मेरी प्रेस करी और मैं सोचूं ही ना उसके बारे में, क्यों ना सोचूं, देखो सोच के कितना अच्छा लगता है ना। सो व्हेन देयर इफ आई कैन स्टेप बैक into the witnessing consciousness and not identify with that praise or appreciation or the good time spent or whatever, then it is very much easier, one can say, then when challenging times are there, that you will be able to step back। So सुख में सुमिरन करना चाहिए, दैट्स व्हाट कबीर जी सेज। मतलब किसी तरह का भी जो मैल है मन पे, वो मैल ही है, चाहे वो सुंदर सुंदर मैल हो या गंदा गंदा मैल हो, मैल तो मैल है। ये बोलूं कि नहीं ये तो कलरफुल कलरफुल मैल है, इसको रहने दो, वो जो कीचड़ के जैसा दिखता है उसको हटा दो, तो वो नहीं होगा, मैल मैल है, चाहे वो व्हाइट कलर का मैल है, चाहे वो ब्लैक कलर का मैल है। वी आर सो ऑब्सेस्ड विद फेयरनेस एंड फेयर एंड लवली एंड ऑल दैट, कि हमको लगता है कि अच्छा अगर व्हाइट कलर का महल है तो वो रहने देती हूँ, प्रेज अप्रिसिएशन वो मेरी, तो फिर उसी में हम वी लूज इट, लूज द अवेयरनेस। तो सुंदर पलों को भी रूमिनेट रिगर्जिटेट जब हम कर रहे होते हैं, वी एक्चुअली डिप इनटू दैट रिवर ऑफ स्टोरी एंड lose the presence as consciousness, who we truly are। And to be truly unburdened would be to always stabilize ourselves in the consciousness, I am consciousness, not take any burden whatsoever। अब वही है, लेकिन हम इतनी आसानी से कन्विंस्ड कहाँ होते हैं, हमको तो है ना, जब अच्छा समय लग रहा होता है कि अच्छा एंजॉय भी ना करें, ये कैसा मतलब है एंजॉय, और हम ये नहीं पता लग रहा होता हमको कि व्हेन एक्चुअली when we are truly practicing and taking stance again and again as witnessing consciousness, then slowly we actually begin to have delight in that। So we are not missing on delight if I am not ruminating about pleasant happenings in my life, I am actually not missing out on delight। ये हमको समझ नहीं आता, ऊपर ऊपर से देख के हमको लगता है कि देखो यू आर मिसिंग ऑन डिलाइट बिकॉज यू आर नॉट रूमिनेटिंग ऑन द प्लेजरेबल मूवमेंट्स इन योर लाइफ, एज इफ की जो विटनेसिंग कॉन्शियसनेस है उसमें कुछ है ही नहीं, रूखा है, बट ऐसा नहीं है। देयर इज अ डिलाइट व्हेन वी आर आवर ट्रू सेल्फ कॉन्शियसली। So for me, it's always, nice to read this, something like this, because whoever is going through any amount of pain or suffering right now, all of us, whenever we are going through that, it is just a reminder for each one of us that this is how so many billions of human beings suffer. So when I get out of it, when I transcend my own stories, then I can help, I can be of help to so many others. So not to wallow, keep wallowing in our own stories, but to get out of it and to recognize our true nature through that. So let's take a couple of maybe, I don't know how much, maybe 2 paragraphs. Anyone who would like to read?
Considering how many billions of people there are in the world, it seems that in this lifetime we are connected to just a few. Just our parents, siblings, children, and other family members, and the people with whom we come into contact, such as friends, colleagues, and so forth. A comparatively small number. But if we look back through the many beings have we actually had a close relationship with, it's hard to say because we've completely forgotten. Even if we meet again, we wouldn't know them anymore. Sometimes we meet somebody for the first time and they immediately feel familiar to us, as if we've known them before. And other times we can be with people for years and we still don't feel any particular connection.
Rinku, maybe you can read the next one also.
From the point of view of opening the heart, the usual focus is on the role of the mother, because frankly, without our mother, none of us would be here. It is unfortunate that we don't remember that one time in our life when we were most cared for and nurtured. Anybody who has to take care of children knows that it is a full-time job, especially when the children are small. The mother has to keep up an endless round of washing them, feeding them, changing their diapers, cuddling them, and putting them to sleep. And what do little babies do? They suckle, they shit, they cry a lot, they keep their parents awake at night, and occasionally they smile. They are totally focused on their own needs and wants and demands. But most mothers don't get fed up and throw their babies out. No, they love the child more than their own life. Should I read the next one?
One more.
And it doesn't matter what our mother was like. She could have been an angel or a devil. She still gave birth to us. She bore us for 9 months in her own body with all the discomfort and the morning sickness and then the pain of birth. She suffered so much for us. If she had aborted us, then we wouldn't be here now. She suffered so much for us and gave us the greatest gift she could have ever given us, life. And that debt of gratitude can never really be repaid.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is building up on the line from the verse that if all the mothers are suffering. So Jetsunma shares that there are so many beings that some of us maybe we immediately feel friends with, some of them maybe not. But we have been connected with limitless, endless beings throughout our endless lives. And then she explains the role of the mother, that even if we can say that, oh, my mother did not give me enough love, it doesn't matter what our mother was like, she says. She could have been an angel or a devil. She still gave birth to us. So that's important. And if each one of us have been through this process, then we know that it takes something from us. ऐसा नहीं है कि मुफ्त में कोई भी कर लेगा ये. She bore us for 9 months in her own body with all the discomfort and the morning sickness and then the pain of birth. And nobody is ready for it. When it's happening, nobody is ready. So पेट से कोई माँ बन के पैदा नहीं होता. All of us females, whenever we became mothers for the first time, we never, it was the first time, for us. हमको लगता है कि हमारी मम्मियां तो हमेशा से मम्मियां हैं, but हम पहली बार मम्मी बने. So that is not true. For each one, it's a new experience, it's a difficult experience. And she says that debt of gratitude can never really be repaid. So this is building up on the first line, that all these human beings that we either have interacted with or maybe don't know about them or have not interacted with, they have taken trouble for us. They have been our mothers in various countless number of lifetimes. So now she says, from a Buddhist point of view, many of our endless lifetimes, most of which we don't remember, were not human. We might, for example, have been a spider and have a mother who had hundreds of little children but nonetheless took care of them. Nice imagining ourselves like spider and lots of little spider siblings. Some species might kill the male, but they don't kill their babies. One time I saw a scorpion carrying dozens and dozens of tiny scorpions. There they were, all riding on mommy's back. We might not think of scorpions as being loving mothers, but there you are. Gratitude for the mother is the symbol and example of the extreme gratitude that we owe to the other beings. Of course, in every lifetime, there are many beings that we feel gratitude toward. For example, farmers who grow all the food we consume, or all the people who make the myriad things we use. We could just go on and on forever because we are so dependent and interconnected with other beings. Therefore, we have a debt of gratitude to repay. The greatest, most final way of repaying that debt is to attain enlightenment in order to be able to liberate others. All our mothers from endless lifetimes. So if we truly want to pay any, this comes often to us कि उसने मेरे लिए इतना किया, मैं क्या करूं उसके लिए, काफी बार when we are conscious about it, at times we are not conscious. Mostly we are not conscious, who has done what. Of course, we are kind of, in our forgetfulness, we don't remember things of earlier lifetimes, and even this lifetime we may not remember. So she says that the greatest, most final way of repaying that debt is to attain enlightenment in order to be able to liberate others. And when we are saying attaining enlightenment, we can take it as, for practical matters, we can take to at least begin to practice trying to know who we truly are, connecting with our true self and disengaging with our false selves. So that is the beginning of attaining enlightenment, we can say, practically speaking. According to this aspiration, we are not just practicing to make ourselves feel better. We are practicing so that in this lifetime or in future lifetimes, we may be in the position to genuinely help beings who are so desperately in need of help, whether they realize it or not. That's the motivation. So this is, the sole social responsibility that we can think of. Many a times we are wondering, somebody does so much for me, let me repay in kind, like you load the other person with gifts or money or, all kind of. So these are our ignorant ways of giving. But she is saying that the ultimate gift or the debt that we can pay back is to truly, truly be united with our true consciousness. And that requires effort. कौन उसके लिए तैयार है, वही कर सकता है. तैयार तो वैसे सब होते हैं, but I think it's समय समय की बात है. When we are truly convinced, then we exponentially gain connection with our true consciousness. अभी conviction अगर नहीं है, so we have to go through some phases in our life where we get the conviction. So it's a win-win situation because all the happenings of our life just give us back that conviction. Yeah, so anything here?
I was reminded of here of Thich Nhat Hanh, and he talks about lot that spoke about very difficult relationship, abusive relationship with the parents, with the father, and how is to say that not only practicing for yourself, but there is a your father is not outside of you, but inside of you. So if you're practicing for him too, and that should give you more solidity. So I think that was very beautiful. And when Jisumna was writing about the mother, I was so like not like little bit surprised when I read it that even her mother, she came from England and she embraced Buddhism. She got ordained. So and like that's what she did like in this lifetime. That not only she was able to liberate herself, but even she liberated her mother, who came such a difficult climate at that time, back in 70s, how she just left England and stayed here for some time and she ordained herself. So, I mean, that's the possibility. So that's the beauty. Of course, she was so convinced her one-pointedness towards the dharma is her, I think, is the grace that she had. But yeah, it's really beautiful if we can really make the determination.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, we usually lead such small lives, like it was saying, right? Like just mother, father, siblings, friends, and all. It's really beautiful when we are reminded the all, right? Like even the opening statement where it says all in Bodhisattva, always it says everybody. So this thing that, okay, everybody has been a mother. Right? It's somehow, I don't know, like this is something that I cannot actually a- arise to, not arise to, but reach on my own. Like when they say that, okay, if you're doing prostrations, right? Like imagine that you're prostrating for the like the whole world is prostrating with you. Like somehow everything, the dynamics changes, the reality of things in that moment it changes for you. It means much more. And just leaving it on myself, I don't think I'm capable of that till I'm pointed, till I'm shown that this too is real. You believe it or not, that's up to you, but you can believe it. So it just changes the game for me. I just not like it's not the right sentence to use, but yeah.
क्यों लीला है गेम यूज कर सकते हो आप word? Yeah. Yeah, so rest we will take next time. There's some bit still left which we'll explore slowly. So anyone, any last comments, reflections? Okay, no news means good news. Then we take a moment of silence, just to share and dedicate any merit, all the merit that we may have collected, accumulated with all the sentient beings near and far. May our hearts be full and may we have lots of joy and progress in our life. धन्यवाद.